Welcome to 101.1 FM WBRULP WFOOLP WVVXLP Providence. I'm your co-host, Dhruv
And I'm your co-host, Alejandro Jackson.
And this is the Outta Pocket Podcast,
where we pull conversation topics out of our pocket.
And occasionally go out of pocket.
So on today's show, we are continuing our series, Quickfire Philosophy. We're going to cover 4 philosophy questions over the course of the show and give our thoughts on each one. So hope you enjoy this one.
Yeah. All right, let's get it started. So, we were having this conversation yesterday, where I ended up talking about Diogenes, and like one of the for those of you who don't know, Diogenes was this ancient Greek like cynical philosopher. So what he would do is he just basically go around and mess with everyone. I don't know, he's a pretty funny guy, but at some point there's like this story that says, you know, Plato and the rest of the big philosophers, or like Aristotle, I don't remember who, were all like, you know, having this debate like, oh, you know, what is a man, like how do we classify like animals, like whatever, and they were like, a man is a featherless biped, you know, like has 2 legs, no feathers. I mean, that checks out. And what Diogenes does is he pulls up with a chicken, takes out all the feathers, and he says, behold, a man. And like, you know, bro's got jokes, but I guess it does like sort of beg the question, you know, what is like a human, you know? Because like, yeah, we're featherless bipeds, but like, you know, what are we, bro?
I think, well, then again, I haven't delved too deep into the research of animal consciousness. Is that even a other animals' conscience?
Oh yeah.
But like
consciences.
Is that, yeah?
I don't know.
Anyways, but essentially, I think what delineates us from like other animals is like this sort of higher level of thinking, like the idea that, like, you know, biologically, have we defined like where our conscience is, like what is it, like is it in the hypothalamus? So like,
tell me, bro.
So I think that like, I guess if that's what classifies. I mean, if we're being sort of more philosophical, if we're being more scientific, then yeah, we don't have feathers. Like, I mean, chromosomes and all that stuff. You know, computational biology. They already figured all this out. We have like,
true.
What is it like?
23 chromosomes?
Well, yeah, but like essentially, I think it was like Professor Miller. Shout out to Professor Miller. He like explains to us like we're so closely related to chimpanzees, because apparently like 2 of the chromosomes they have fused or something, and that's like one of ours. So I guess what makes a chimpanzee a chimpanzee?
That's a good question. I don't know, like, I guess there's like so many different ways you could define things. Like, you could define things in terms of like their essence, like, you know, like we could sit all day and say like, you know, what does it, like, fundamentally, what is a human, like what is a chimpanzee? Like, we could try to ascribe all these qualities.
Define essence.
I don't know, I'm not a philosophy major. But like, you could always
closer to one than I am.
I don't know about that one. But you could always like, you could also define things in terms of like their functionality, you know, like you could define a human in terms of like what a human does to the world around it, or like, you know, you could define the chimpanzee as like its functions in like an ecosystem. Like, if something fills the niche of like a chimpanzee, then it becomes a chimpanzee, you know, like the sort of like,
well, I think multiple creatures inhabit the same niche, so like,
exactly, right? So like, I feel like somewhere in between the two. Because, like, you know, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right?
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I know if it looks like, what is it? If it has stripes and
yeah,
something, that's probably a zebra or something.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like, I guess it ultimately depends on how you want to define things. Shout out to AP Psych, operationally define
Bruh.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because like you said, right? It's either sort of the essence. I think like that's a more philosophical question, or like scientifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like sort of when we were like with the initial, like the story that you brought up, essentially like Diogenes and all these guys. Like it seems like they were being very scientific about it,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like philosophical.
Well, also, like, I feel like just back in those early days, you can't really. There wasn't a lot of separation from science and philosophy. Um, and honestly, like, these days, I don't think there should be that much separation either. Not in the, like, not in the sense that, like, philosophers should be the people in lab, like, running experiments and stuff, but in the sense that, like, I do think that science has moral implications and, like, certain ethical questions that we need to ask ourselves while we're doing this. It's like that quote in Jurassic Park. Your scientists were so obsessed with, like, thinking, like, figuring out if they could, they didn't stop to think about whether they should. So, like, I feel like we should still. And there's also stuff like this in CS, just another type of science, but, like,
not the PTSD.
not the PTSD.
I could speak all day about this.
No, but they're, like, CS is becoming so scary powerful that, like, I know my buddy back home, he's one of my best friends, but he's taking computer science at Georgia Tech, and he has to do, like, ethics classes and, like, like, sort of figure out, because, like, AI can be so powerful that, like, in the wrong hand, it genuinely, like, freaks me out. Like, I remember seeing this, like, one, like, meme or tweet back in the day where it's like technology enthusiasts are like, yeah, like, I got my whole, like, house hooked up to the internet, like, my light bulbs are connected to the Wi-Fi, like, everything's smart, etc., etc. And then it's like CS majors are like, I have, like, one printer from 1999 and I shoot it if it makes, like, any unwanted noise. And I'm like, it's kind of scary because, like, we should take, like, ethical considerations and, like, morality, I think, into question. But then again, it once again gets really gray. Like, whose morals are we going to be working on? Like, unfortunately, we I feel like, or maybe not unfortunately, but just, like, shout out to one of our older episodes. Everyone just has, like, different perspectives on things, and different set of values and morals, and sometimes those morals conflict in terms of, like, what humanity should and shouldn't be able to do. And, I'd love to be able to say that, like, we always get it right and we always, like, come to consensus by, like, talking and compromising and, the way it should be. But as you and I both know, just in this ever conflicted, polarized society, it's just, like, it seems that no one's even willing to, like, talk. They'd rather just, like, yell at each other and, like, pour gasoline on the flame. Anyway, so what is a man? Like, for real.
I'm trying to. I feel like there's something I wanted to say, and I've just kind of lost it. But anyways, yes. What is my answer to this? I would say a feather. No, I'm kidding. No.
Plato? Is that you, bro?
Nah. I don't. That's really hard to answer because I think.
Like, what defines a human being?
I mean, I think what defines a human being is. Okay. Well, it depends on how you want to answer. Because scientifically, like, 4 appendages.
Yeah.
Like, mammal.
Who was the father of modern binomial nomenclature? Whoa, what's this guy's name? Yeah, Linnaeus. Yeah.
Something.
But that's the thing, right? You learn in like bio that like Linnaeus was out here and he's like, plants have like these features and that's what make them plants, and humans have these features. But like scientists have been able to like figure out with genetic data recently that some things are a lot more closely related than we thought, and some things are a lot farther related than we thought, like genetically. So that's even calling like you know classifying things with physical appearance into question.
Yeah, well, this is quickfire philosophy. So
True.
to be honest, from a philosophical standpoint, we are, as far as I know, creatures capable of the highest level of thinking on this planet currently.
Except for squirrels, bro. They're up to something.
The pigeons too.
Oh, pigeons too, for real.
You ever seen a baby? No, I'm kidding. But you never seen that? You ever seen a baby pigeon?
Yeah, nah, bro.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But anyways, I digress. I think that's what sort of separates us from the rest of the creatures on this planet, and I think that, like you said, we have to be very careful about that, because we have done crazy damage to this planet, and I think that humanity as a whole has a very holier than thou mentality as of the last several millennia. Like,
our species is about to get vibe checked by the planet.
Yeah, like it's so present in our so just in our endeavors, and like manifest destiny, and the idea that, oh yeah, this entire continent, it's meant to be ours. Like, huh? And just like how we
or like the way people were like justifying like slavery and like other really messed up stuff, like through like science or whatever, like like social Darwinism, like.
And I think that like I said, what I think truly defines us as human beings from other creatures is that like that consciousness, that like higher level of thinking, that like the ability, the fact that we can like question our own existence and all this stuff, right? And I think that and don't get me wrong, I think having curiosity is a good thing. I think that like wanting to explore the oceans, wanting to figure out like what's down there, or like what's up in space, I think these are important questions to understand our place in the world, but I think, or in the universe, but I think that we have to just stop for a second and think about how we're going to do all this, because if we maintain the path that we have been taking to make all these advancements, like you said, nature's gonna vibe check us.
Yeah, man. Nature's already vibe checking us.
Yeah, and it's something that Professor Miller, shout out to him again, talked about in his last lecture, is that like we are showing signs of approaching I think it's the sixth mass extinction.
Yeah.
So
word.
I'm just saying, if we want to define us, like humans, man, as like this like special creature, like what defines us? It's not being a featherless biped. I think it's the fact that, because kangaroos are featherless bipeds.
Kangaroos are humans, bro.
Damn.
Got you there, buddy.
But yeah, I think it's like the fact that we are capable of such high levels of thinking, and that we've been able to, I don't know.
Yeah, I think like I think that's a lot of things. Like people tend to ascribe morality. Like you see like a British man in like an old book or like an old like TV. Like, this is what separates us from like the beasts. Like it just like the whole humanity has this. But then like it's really funny because like I don't remember the exact context, but someone came out with this novel. Some British dude came out with this novel where like these British boys got lost and on an island, and they all like came up with this perfect society, and they were like absolutely like everything's so lovely and whatever. And then at the end of the day, they got rescued and they went home to their parents, and they're like, Mom and Dad, like we had the loveliest. And then William Golding was like, what? Like this, like humanity is awful. And then he came out with Lord of the Flies to like, like to really show that like, I mean, we are animals, you know. And it's like it's always funny, like to me, that like everyone, I feel like there's just like this meme idea where like everyone has like this like lizard brain, or like this sort of like these base tendencies that we tend to revert to in like I don't know, certain situations. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like, yeah, we have the capacity for that higher thought, but we also are animals, and also sometimes it seems like people don't use that capacity to its full extent. Shout out 45th president.
I'll let Twitter speak for Twitter's self.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's my answer. I think it's the sort of higher level of consciousness that distinguishes us from other creatures on this planet.
True.
But anyways, so
yeah.
Next question. What is it?
Next question. You know, it's not necessarily like, you know, one of those deep philosophical, like historically grounded debates, but I feel like would you rathers have the tendency to get like really philosophical.
I think so.
Especially when it's just like two friends or like a group of friends just like debating it. So the next one is, would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future?
Okay, so like on the surface, seeing 10 minutes into the future, I feel like you can always, like as long as you check consistently enough, you can always kind of well, actually, wait, I take that back. Hold on.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
yeah.
because I was gonna say I wasn't gonna say 10 minutes, but my thing was like I was like, okay, well, like, right, like let's say, knock on wood, that like I'm out there, right, and I decide, let me see 10 minutes into the future, and well, I don't know how this would work if I like wouldn't see anything, or if I'm like, let's say I see myself on a stretcher, right? My whole thing is like, does that mean that I could circumvent such
true,
like such a fate by staying inside or something, or like is it inevitable?
Well, that's the thing, like there's like any of those, you know, relive the same day again type movies, or like there's this episode of Supernatural where it was like the same like Groundhog Day concept, where like Dean kept on like dying, and Sam like kept on trying to save him, but like Dean would like keep dying in like increasingly comical ways, and so like the whole point was like Sam would do everything in his power to like you know, like if Dean died the first time in a car accident, then like Sam would like keep him in the room and make sure he didn't get out, but then he would like the hairdryer would fall into like the bathtub and he'd like electrocute himself or something, you know. And there's like this whole, going back to your thing, like if you see 10 minutes into the future and you're like, I'm on a stretcher, all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I'm not gonna skate down there, you turn and walk the other way, and then like an air conditioning unit just like bop, you know, and
well,
you're just gone.
That's more the question though of like, then is death sentient and like will it claim you when you are meant to be? And so I don't know, like I think that I'm trying like 10 minutes seems a little, but then also 150 is like,
well, yeah, it's like I guess the question becomes like, you're trying to determine which one is more useful, right?
I mean, I think personally for like one's own self, 10 minutes.
Right.
I mean, unless like, well, actually, No, I take that back. I'm trying to see 150 years into the future, because what if I see 150 years into the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see this grand sort of, I don't want to say like utopia, but like, some like a super advanced society.
Yeah, like flying cars and stuff.
Yeah, right. And I'm able to see like, how this came about, right, or something. I could like hit it big. I could cop a bag. If I see 150 years into the future and I see all this like super advanced I want to say postmodern, or like, futuristic.
Yeah.
And I come back and I'm like, oh, watch this. I go to BDW and I like start building a flying car. I can make a buck or two.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, and then, I don't know, I think that the 150 years, it has some potential to just solve our modern day problems. I think 10 minutes in the future is going to give you too much anxiety.
Mm-hmm. But also 150 years could totally backfire. You look 150 years into the future and there's just like nothing left.
Oh, okay, well then.
And then you just try to tell everyone, hey guys, so we kind of need to fix things, and then nobody listens, and then you're just like, well.
Yeah, at that point then. What's that thing? Oh my god, she used to say all the time. Oh, well. Yeah, it's a saying in Spanish. Haz lo que te dé la gana, which means do whatever you want. And when you suffer the consequences, that one's on you, but don't ask me for help. So I think, personally, that I might have to say the 10 minutes. Well, no, my bad, the 150 years.
Yeah, because I feel like either way, it depends on it depends on if you're seeing like a definitive future. Because like, we're gonna get into this question later on in the episode about like free will. But if your prophecy is like deterministic, then anything you do turns it into a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But if it's like, Back to the Future logic, or like most time travel narratives, because like the problem with like the deterministic time travel, like the kind of time travel you see in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, where like everything that happened or will happen has already happened. So like when Harry thought he saw his dad casting the Patronus, but then when he used the time turner and went back, and then when he got to that point, he realized it was him casting the Patronus, So like it's the there's like sort of a narrative problem with that. Like that deterministic thing kind of makes for less interesting narratives unless you decide to weave it in like it basically, it has like limited potential, because if you have a set timeline that you can't deviate from, if you have any character who sees into the future or like looks into the past, then like it doesn't make much sense, because like that's already gonna happen. So like what's the point in like driving the plot forward? Which is why I think a lot of authors and storytellers tend to opt for like the more like, when you see the future, it's more of like this is a potential outcome, like in the Umbrella Academy, there's like, or like in Back to the Future, like Marty, in Back to the Future 2, Marty ends up like leaving like a sports book in the future, and like future Biff takes it back to like 50s Biff, and he's like, oh, like this is like the outcome of all like sporting events for like the rest of like the century. So like past Biff uses that to like get really rich on gambling, and then like Doc Brown explains it later in the movie that like Marty created a new timeline, so this future is not the future from earlier in the timeline, because it like it was a branch. So basically like the sort of like free will type thing, in Back to the Future narratives there is free will, and like Marty's decisions can directly influence a different future, whereas in like Prisoner of Azkaban, because everything that happened already will happen. And I think this is kind of why J.K. Rowling chose to like destroy the time turners at the end of the Order of the Phoenix. It's because like they would just be too cracked of a narrative tool to like, because like if a time turner lasted in like the Deathly Hallows, all you had to do was just like turn it like a bunch of times, go back in time and kill Voldemort, and then like the whole plot would just never have happened. But then like it gets like a paradox, you know, like if he killed Voldemort, then his life would have been normal and he wouldn't have had to go back and kill Voldemort, but then Voldemort would be alive and like the plot would I don't know, paradoxes are weird, but I don't know, like that's the problem with like seeing into the future. Like I feel like 10 minutes would only be useful if it's like a potential future, because like if it's like a self-fulfilling deterministic type thing and whatever will happen in 10 minutes transpires no matter what, you sort of lose the motivation to do anything.
That's true. Know? Like, yeah, why even bother?
Exactly.
I don't know. I think you just like...
And you're also constantly existing 10 minutes in the future.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, that's where your consciousness is, so you don't even care about the present anymore.
Oh, well, you're never late, though.
I guess.
If you're always thinking 10 minutes ahead, just build different, you're never late.
And win a chess match. Easy. Just see the move that your opponent's gonna make.
True. Well, I mean, you would have to, like, do that consistently for, like, because you would have to, like, 10 minutes before the match, you'd have to look.
Yeah, you'd have to look at the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then you have to remember all that. And then that's another thing. How would that affect your mind? Like, seeing, I guess, two... Because it would essentially be like your mind's lagging. Because whatever you see in the future would be your present, like you said. And then anything in the present is technically your past.
Oh, that's so trippy.
So then you'd be like...
Like, I feel like the only conceivable way to, like, avoid that is, like, the power would have to have a cooldown. Like, you could only use it...
That's boring, then. What's the point?
Yeah, exactly, right? Because, like, the problem...
What if something happens in between the 10 minutes that I need to, like...
Like, if it becomes self-determining, you look 10 minutes in the future and you see yourself lying on bed doing nothing, then you're like, I guess I'm just gonna lie on bed and do nothing, and then you just, like, wither away, you know? Like... Ooh. Time travel is weird.
I'm still saying 150 because like.
Well, yeah, I think 150 would just objectively be the safer thing to do.
I think it has more benefits for humanity as a whole.
And it's also like generally, time travel narratives like there's that rule in Doctor Who, right? You never time travel, like. To your own lifetime, like to a point where you could conceivably meet yourself, and like they break that later on in the show, but only with the Doctor. Because it's like fun, but like there was that episode in like season 1 where like Rose ended up like touching like her baby self and like tearing like a hole in like space-time or whatever, and like that's the thing, right? If you see into the future in a way where like it affects your own life or like you like yourself, you're gonna like paralyze yourself with just like, you know.
If I look 150 years into the future and I'm still around, man, call me Moses, because I just decided apparently I wasn't going to go anywhere.
But yeah, I think 150 would just objectively be the better option, right?
What's 150 years from now? 2020, like that's
2172.
Is it?
Right?
72?
2172.
72. What are we doing then?
I don't even know, bro. Still making this podcast apparently, like
season
151.
151. Yeah, no, we're probably gonna be at it. Well, actually, that's another question. Do
you think modern science will advance sometime within the next 150 years that allows us to become near immortal?
No, I was gonna say, do you think that people run out of ideas?
Oh.
Like, do you think that if we kept this up for 151 years, that we would still have ideas? And I want to say optimistically yes, and that like there will be new things in society that we can just talk about. Like there will always be an ever-growing influx.
Well, the problem is we could always end up like Family Guying ourselves. Or like, I feel like Family Guy or just like any TV show that's been running that long tries to stay relevant by like including, or like The Simpsons, you know, like it tries to stay relevant by including like modern references and stuff like.
Mm-hmm.
But just like the general take is that the new Simpsons or like new Family Guy is just like mid. And I guess the question then becomes like, you know, maybe we could keep this up for, I don't know, 150 years and like we'd keep coming up with new ideas just like based on the stuff around us. But like, should we?
Nah, I'm trying to retire and do nothing.
For
At
real.
some point, I'm just trying to lay in bed watching YouTube. My feed looking kind of dry lately, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason why, like, I feel, well, that's not, but I don't know, this kind of comes full circle, because I think that when I watch YouTube sometimes, I'm like, there's nothing new, like, there's nothing fresh, like, there's all, like, the same stuff that this algorithm's been feeding me, because it's like, oh yeah, this is what you like, and I'm just like,
yeah. I don't know, I feel like in terms of, like, YouTube, I just, like, wait for whoever I'm subscribed to just drop like their weekly or like bi-weekly or monthly content, and then just like I just end up watching the same people these days.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
that's the thing. Then like that eventually, I do think starts to get old.
And
so then, what do you have left? What will you have left after 500 years?
I'll have you, man.
Shout out Invincible.
Shout out Invincible. When's Invincible season 2 coming out?
I have no idea, but I read the comics. Goated.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Invincible. But anyway, what will we have after 500 years? That's a real question.
Bro, I don't even know. We should probably move on from this soon, but like my personal like you know, I think everyone clowns like, you know, people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, like, oh, you're spending all this money in space travel, like why don't you focus on us, like focus on the planet, like use your money for something good in the now. And I'm like, I get that, like I think that is what they should be doing with their money, but I don't think we should necessarily, you know, devalue.
There's a balance.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, like if we manage to make it that far, I think humanity should be destined for, I don't know, like,
yeah,
space,
greater things. Here's my goal. What's that? AP Econ. What's that curve that's like, it's like a straight line between the two axes. It's essentially like any resources that you.
Oh yeah, the PPC curve.
There you go. It's like a PPC curve.
Yeah.
Like you invest X amount into the now and X amount into the future, and hope that your payoff is just benefits all around. I did want to say though, and this is probably just my CS brain, does this future seeing ability work recursively?
I don't know what that means.
It basically means, would I be able to like see 150 years into the future and then see 150 years into like that future, and then have it all loop back to me? Like, would I be able to see 300 years or 450?
Nah, I don't think so, right? Because
I mean,
would it be like a consciousness like projecting, or would like?
I feel like for that to work, I would excuse it if like you were still alive 150 years into the future, and you happen to look. When you looked into the future, like 150 years into the future, your future self was looking 150 years into the future, and then you see 300 years into the future. Damn, I'm actually gonna say right here on this podcast, I'm intellectually copywriting that, so I can write a cracked book with a cracked plot.
I think Attack on Titan already beat you to it, bro. Grisha Yeager was out here, like, Eren was looking into Grisha's memories, but Grisha already saw Eren's memories, but future Eren's memories, so that all looped back to Eren in the present.
That is true, but like, trust me, if I ever do write a book about involving
Aye,
time
bro.
and all that stuff,
I'll read it.
I'll try to make it unique. But
Eren Yeager.
that is my question about recursion. Okay, and now we want to get into a slightly more fun question, which is, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Yeah, bro. Have we ever talked about this before? I feel like I always use this as like an icebreaker, but like, I don't know. For me, I feel like the answer is pretty obvious. It's the 100 duck-sized horses, bro. Like ducks,
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of scary, dude. Like,
They're aggressive. Yeah.
if you imagine like a big like horse-sized duck, that's like low-key a dinosaur, bro.
Here's my thing though, like, okay, so like 100 duck-sized horses, would that be like you know how ants can like, what is it, lift like 100 times their
Oh shoot!
weight?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
would
yeah.
horses, would those 100 duck-sized horses be capable of the same thing? Because then at that point, I don't know, they're just like, they all like band together, pick you up, and throw you like into traffic or something.
Not the ducks, bro. Well, I feel like we should define. Like, I feel like like the fight would be taking place in like a coliseum, you know, like an arena. Just like it's just empty except for you and like so it's like all you have are like your bare hands.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was
Nah,
gonna say-
you aren't about to pull out a Glock on the
Not a,
horses,
no,
bro.
no, my katana. It's on my
Oh
wall.
shoot, you're right.
Yeah, fun fact about Alan. This is your occasional fun fact about your hosts segment
Yeah,
of today's
true.
show. I have a katana on my wall back home.
Unleashes the way of the blade on
And
the.
all I'm saying is that I would love to fight 100 duck-sized horses with in a coliseum with a katana. That just sounds like quite the endeavor. But
While you've been looking into the future, I've been studying the way of the blade. Like,
hey, Marvel Studios, hire me for Blade. Thanks, I appreciate it.
bro, they already got you beat with that one.
Hire me to play Young Blade. I appreciate it. Thanks. I'll do a flashback sequence. Get paid like
I respect it, bro.
200K.
Dude, now that Grover and Percy Jackson's Daisy, bro, hire me to
yeah.
be the Flash Forward.
The Flash.
I'll do it, bro. I'll do it.
All right, well, let's hit up Disney. Well, let's hit up Disney for some gigs.
Nah, for real.
We're getting so off topic. Anyways, so what was your thing about? So why wouldn't you not fight a horse-sized duck?
A horse-sized duck.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to like, you were talking about like ants, right? Like how like their powers sort of scale up if they get bigger. Like,
Oh, I meant the opposite. Like, would the 100 duck-sized horses like
the only
able to, like-
con to that is like exhaustion, bro.
what?
Like,
For which one? The
100 horse-sized ducks, or no,
duck-sized
duck-sized horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's only so many mini horses you can drop kick before you start to get like tired. I'm sure they'll also be like pretty heavy. Like you'd have to like subdue a lot of mini horses, bro.
Yeah, that's like, is all their mass concentrated in like you're like,
Oh no, I don't think it would be like.
because the horses are heavy.
Yeah, no, I feel like it would be like proportionally heavy. Like how heavy would a normal horse be at that size?
Size of a duck.
Yeah,
Or like
I
the weight
don't
of a
know.
duck.
Maybe. But they'd also be like concentrated, bro. Imagine getting kicked by like a tiny horse. It will low-key feel like almost a bullet wound, bro.
That's what I was saying.
Like the
that,
force would be like
I
concentrated.
don't know. Like, do they retain their strength? Right.
Mm.
It's like that's the thing. Like 100 duck-sized horses, if they were all like capable of such like intense strength feats, they could
mess you up, bro.
yeah, like you said, like just kick me and like fracture my shin bone, or like I don't even know.
Actually, you low-key got me rethinking my answer to this question. Because, like, if it's just one horse-sized duck, I imagine it would be a little slow. Like, the size itself would cause it to be a little slower than a normal duck. So, like, theoretically, you could just, like, wear it down by, like, agility. And then, like, figure out a way to, like, take it out. But,
I don't
like,
even know how you'd do that.
I don't know how you do it.
Jump on its back.
Yeah, you'd have to, like, jump on its back and just, like, I don't know. Like, beat it?
Hey, PETA. Hey, chill. We're not, like,
Hey,
this is a
yeah.
hypothetical question.
Yeah, this is a hypothetical question. We're not trying to, like,
but,
commit acts of animal cruelty. But, yeah, it would be, like, in that case, I feel it would be, like, you know, like fighting a dragon or something, or, like, a dinosaur. Like, I feel like the odds would be stacked against you, but you'd have certain advantages. But the horses...
What advantage do you have fighting a dinosaur or a dragon?
Like, size, like, you could hide, and you'd also be faster.
I don't know.
I mean, if it were a dinosaur or a dragon, I'd be toast. But if it was a horse-sized duck, but horses aren't that big, if I'm being honest.
What do you want about, bro?
Bro, I'm saying, like, the duck would low-key be a velociraptor. In that case, I'm gone. Like, velociraptors are terrifying, bro.
I mean, yeah, but, like, one of you ever met a velociraptor?
Well, last week, bro.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Where?
At the zoo.
The Providence Zoo?
Yeah, bro.
Providence, you wildin'. That's crazy. I need to go.
Yeah, bro. Anyway, but the horses would have the size advantage over you, bro. They'd be agile. They'd be quick.
What, the 100 duck-sized horses?
Yeah, man.
Would they, though? You seen how fast I am?
Bro, you know you're asthmatic, like...
Hey. I can still keep up with Chris. Shout out to Chris.
Yeah,
Chris
for real.
is
absolute mad lad.
A good friend of ours who ran to Massachusetts, who ran to another state,
and then ran back.
With a CVS or I think it was either CVS or Walgreens break in between. But
I respect it.
Point being though, that I can keep up with Chris, so.
But the horses are gonna wear you down, bro.
I mean, sure, yeah, okay, like I can run a mile. I've run a mile before. Are you doubting me? I had to.
I but like
FitnessGram Pacer test
not
program
the
and all
FitnessGram
that
Pacer
stuff.
test, bro.
All them FitnessGram tests. I used to run 7-minute mile. I haven't run one in a long time, so I'd have to see how I do now. But like, I mean, what does it even matter though? Because like you're in a coliseum, there's only so far you can run before you like.
That's true. Before you run out of space.
Yeah, they'll just like you can run a whole cross country marathon around the coliseum, and eventually you'll have to face them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they might send the horse-sized duck at the same time. Oh, but here's a real question: would 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck win?
Oh, yo, we flipping the game on his head.
Forget us.
Yo, that's... Your ducks can fly, right?
I feel like very short distances. Here's my question, though. Are ducks omnivores?
I think so.
Yeah, they eat fish, right?
They eat fish, right?
Alright, right. So, like, you were saying earlier, slightly before we press record, about a duck's teeth. And a duck's teeth scaling to the size of a horse. I'm
telling you, bro, it becomes like a velociraptor.
There's no escape. That one horse-sized duck could, like... low-key, I think it might be able to beat 100 duck-sized horses.
I think so, too. Also, like, the duck could, like straight up, like, pick them up, fly, and just, like, drop them.
Okay, I don't know actually, do ducks fly like that? Hold on.
Do they?
I feel like they glide, like, you know.
Yeah. But what if it was a goose, bro?
Okay, that's a different story.
Geese are menaces.
Ducks. Oh snap! Hold up. Ducks fly, and I mean, obviously the internet.
Or they migrate, right?
Apparently, yeah. And
Yeah, so ducks fly, bro.
wait, this is a little. Hold on, I feel like I'm getting two different answers here. Oh yeah, they fly.
Yeah, bro.
According to another website I saw, 80 kilometers per hour, or
80
about
kilometers.
50 miles per hour.
Yeah, those horses don't stand a chance, bro. We don't stand a chance.
All right, fair enough. If a horse-sized duck was flying at me at 50 miles per hour, I don't think I could skate that fast.
It's game.
So I'm gonna say 100 duck-sized horses. I'm gonna fight 100 duck-sized horses.
I think that's
because I think we've underestimated ducks and their abilities this entire time. They're razor sharp velociraptor teeth and their 50 mile per hour flight speed. I'm okay.
Bro, curses to society for making us think ducks are so cute and like cuddly and adorable, bro. They're kind of out here, bro.
I don't know. You see them on those Dawn bottles. You ever seen like the Dawn?
Yeah, bro. On like the ads, they'll be like cleaning them up after the oil spills and stuff.
Okay, wait. So this says the top speed at which the world's fastest equine sprinter, the quarter horse, equine.
I don't know.
It's whatever. The fastest recorded race time for a thoroughbred is 44. Oh well. Okay, wait. For the world's fastest, the quarter horse has been clocked at 55 miles per hour. The fastest recorded race time for a thoroughbred is 44 miles per hour, and the average gallop clocks in at about 27 miles per hour.
But also, you'd have to imagine that like a smaller horse wouldn't be able to go as fast.
Yeah, because of leg length.
Right.
So
like also, one more before we
that duck would blitz them.
Before we get into like the final serious question, bro.
Yeah.
Who would win? 1,000,000 lions or the sun, bro?
Okay, no, don't even the sun, bro.
What, bro? What if the lions attack during nighttime? The sun doesn't stand a
work
chance,
like that.
Bro. The sun doesn't stand a chance.
That doesn't work like that. This is a legitimate question. What? Hold up. I'm checking right now. What time is it in Africa right now? No, I genuinely want to know.
I don't know, bro.
It's 7:20 p.m. Okay, so it should be like night there right now. About.
So you're saying the lions, but
how would they even get to the sun? That's my question.
They just walk, bro.
Walk
it's
where?
It's not that hard.
Okay, whatever you say. Whatever you say.
I feel like I'm really cracked out this episode.
Yeah, me too. But what was I gonna say? Look, man, I feel that my connection to the savannah. Shout out to all the lions that my ancestors have hunted. I don't think they could beat the sun though. That's all I'm gonna say.
Bro, were your ancestors hunting the lions or getting hunted by the lions, bro?
Both.
It's a circle of life.
Yeah, you know how it goes. Mufasa.
You must never go there, Simba.
Mufasa and my family were fighting back in the day in the prairies of the savannas of Mozambique. But, I'm sorry. I know they're fearsome, considering I probably lost a couple homies. But I don't think they could beat the sun.
That's a shame.
Yeah. And our last question, probably the most serious one, which we probably should have saved more time for.
Yeah.
But anyways, is the question, do humans have free will?
I've thought about this one a lot. I feel like this is a real tonal swerve from what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But I think like ultimately it's just a comforting thought to believe that we have free will even if we don't. But I also think there is some level of scientific precedence and evidence for it because historically we have envisioned the universe as having this deterministic quality. And like, I forget it's like Maxwell's demon or something. There's like this thought experiment where, or is it Russell's demon? No, I don't even remember. I used to know all this stuff, but there's like this thought experiment where there's this being who has knowledge of the mass and momentum, or like the mass and velocity of every particle in the universe. So theoretically, that being and it's also like infinitely smarter or whatever. It's like a supercomputer, so it would be able to determine the entire course of the universe from start to finish just with like that knowledge. But because like, you know, conservation of energy and whatnot. But you know, around the turn of the last century, the quantum revolution was undergoing, and we sort of realized that like even on the most fundamental level, the universe operates on probability. Like nothing is really determined, to the point where like Einstein was like even Einstein was like really weirded out by this idea, and he says like God doesn't play dice with the universe, right? And but it seems like all of our evidence just points towards quantum theory being like one greater step towards the like grand unified theory. So I think that at a fundamental level, our universe operates on, you know, and this is more like philosophical, because yes, the quantum field does collapse on larger scales to the point where like that's why we see classical physics and, you know, things just operating on, you know, the way we've always seen, like Newtonian physics. But I think at like a fundamental level, it's a comforting thought to realize that like nothing is set in stone in this universe, and you know, it gives us our own like that's one lens that like gives us our own, I don't know, reason to like get up in the morning and like go out and do things. Well, because
that answered our question earlier. Time travel is
not
deterministic. So do I change my answer? No, I don't. But like anyway,
150 years, even if it's non-deterministic, or even if it's non-deterministic, I still think that, you know, 10 would be useful personally, because you could just like avoid unlikely outcomes. But like, I feel like you wouldn't really be doing anything greater with your life, you know? And would you feel happy, like, just knowing that, like, you know, maybe you gain the most personal benefit through your lifetime by always avoiding bad outcomes, but would you, I feel like I'd just be happier knowing that, like, I helped to build, like, a better future in 150 years.
That is true. But anyways, I like brought it back a little bit.
No, don't worry.
I'd like to say we do.
It's comforting, right?
Yeah, but also I think the idea that we don't sort of pushes us to question what does motivate or like our choices. I mean, I guess that's the thing. I feel like this also depends on how specific you want it. Like, because I can make the argument, right, that like, like for example, like eating one of those strawberry popsicles in my freezer. Do I do that because I want to, or do I do that because like I benefit from like dopamine and like from neurotransmitter boosts?
But I feel like in that question, the way you're framing it, it's still like, it's framed as like you're the one making the decision. I feel like in a true deterministic universe, Ale going to his fridge to eat a popsicle has already been determined. So the reason you're doing that isn't because either you genuinely want to out of the core of your being, or that like, you know, you understand that you'd be able to benefit from it. Is that like somewhere along the line, thousands of years ago, or not even thousands, billions of years ago, a set of particle motions was set into motion to that at that exact moment, there would be an electronic like trigger in your brain that like releases,
how do we know that's not the case,
neurotransmitters, and that's what moves you to get the popsicle, and that was all determined. And yeah, we don't know if that's not the case or not. I'd like to think there is, because like on the quantum scale, as I mentioned before, things,
I feel like that kind of counters the idea that the universe leads towards entropy, though, because if everything's
Mm-hmm.
predetermined. And, like, I feel like that. I mean, maybe I'm just not seeing something here,
Well,
but
I think that it's not that it counters the idea that everything moves towards entropy. I think entropy is the driving cause of that deterministic, like, things happen because of the laws of thermodynamics, you know, like that particle motion in your head that got Ale to grab the popsicle happened because it was a chemically favorable, like, spontaneous reaction
what?
driven by entropy. I don't know, like whatever electrical impulse triggered in your brain that released neurotransmitters that got you. Yeah, all I'm saying is, like, the more I've thought about it, the trippier it becomes, right? Because, like, what triggers the electronic impulse? Like, sure, you could say, like, ion channels in your cells open because of, like, ligand gated, like, signaling,
Yeah.
and then, like, you know, that triggers, like, the action potential. That's all fine and good, but where does, like, the electricity come from? That's what always, like, tripped me out. And, like, I feel like there has to be some level of, like, soul, or, like, some, like, spirit, life essence, because I don't know, like, consciousness, or this goes to, like, what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't know where consciousness comes
We
from.
don't.
And I see no reason why humanity has to go away from our, like, pre-established idea of, like, you know, the life force, or, like, the soul, you know. I think that does, like, a pretty nifty job, just, like, saying, hey, we're conscious. Like,
The thing is, like, I mean, I get it, because I want to know what's up with it, too. Because, like, then the thing is, like, I think the reason why we're so curious is, like, once we find out where it comes from, or it's made of, what could we, I mean, well, and that gets back to what we talked about earlier with the ethics of science, but, like, what could we do with that information? Like,
That's true.
could we make ourselves live forever? Could we, like, download our souls?
right.
Onto,
Upload ourselves to the cloud.
I mean, metaverse type beat.
Live in a simulation.
We're doing the podcast, the Outta Pocket Podcast.
In 150
in the
years.
cloud on the metaverse.
There's like an episode of Cowboy Bebop like this, and there's also an episode of Black Mirror like this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like it's just one of those questions that we've always been trying to answer.
So, where do you think we need to go in order to answer that? Like, what do we need to find out? Like, do you think the next step is finding out what the soul is, to be able to find out
I guess.
what free will is?
I guess. But, like, in Full Metal Alchemist, the soul is made out of, like, discrete units, you know? Like, they're, like, soul units. So, is it possible that, like, there's, like, a quantifiable amount of soul that every person has, and, like, you could extract it in some way and, like, interact with it as a material?
Pressure.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, obviously this is just, like, at this point, just pure nonsense. I don't think, I personally don't think so, and I also don't think we ever need to know the answer, because frankly, I think just accepting the fact that we're here and we're conscious, is, like, I'm good with that. What I want to know is, how can I, you know, make the world a better place? How can I, as a person, just, like, be good, and, like, and I want to know about the world around me too, and, like, you know, the spiritual stuff, all that, I'll delegate that to religion, and I'll let science take care of, like, you know, how does, like, physics work, you know?
Well, like you were saying, why do we make these things sort of exclusive of each other? Like, why do we separate these things?
That's true. Yeah, I feel like this also goes back to, like, our first question today. What makes a human?
Yeah, why can't we just collab? Just the science x religion collab. Yeah, that's probably controversial.
Science x religion collab is...
Here's my take, right? I think that such things being separate is not a bad thing. I also don't think that them being... Like, I think that there is a time and a place for things to sort of cross over. um, I don't think that it needs to happen all the time though. Like I don't think that they need to, that there needs to be a consensus, like a sort of what's what I'm looking for like science to exist, and like all of what it talks about needs to make sense in religion, and for religion to exist, everything that it talks about needs to make sense in science for it, like
the grand unified theory.
Yeah, but I do think that and this is beyond religion and science. I think that it is good to be able to have sort of these subjects that we learn, these like disciplines interact with each other. And I
shout out open curriculum
for real. And I think that, you know, to find some of the answers to these questions, we need to build bridges between these fields and sort of work together to figure out where we're going with this.
Yeah.
But until then, we can still question whether free will is a thing or not.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever need to know the answer to that one. I think I'm just gonna like keep living, you know. But with that, I think that's about our time.
Yeah.
So let's take them out. You've been listening to 101.1 FM, WBRULP, WFOOLP, WVVXLP Providence.
You guys can catch us on the Outta Pocket Podcast website. That's www.theoutapocketpodcast.com. And Outta is spelled Outta.
And on the website, you could also contact us. We have a contact page. Shoot us an email. Let us know what you want to see in the future. You know, stuff that, like, yeah, if you want to be a guest on the show, just hit us up. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Outta Pocket Podcast. We'll catch you guys next week. And it's hot again, you know.
Finally.
Summer, thank God.
Yeah. And everybody's complaining. They're like, it's too hot. And pull up to Miami for a week
I don't know
and
about
see how it goes.
I don't know about complaining. I'm digging the hot weather outside. I just need air conditioning, bro.
That's facts.
My dorm room is a sauna, and I'm not about it. I need to sleep.
It's a struggle out here in these streets.
Struggle out here, bro.
But hey, we will catch you guys later. We will catch you guys next week for our last episode of the
year.
Season, the Outta Pocket Podcast Season 1. And take care.